Here's something fun to try today, something I wish I'd thought of when I was first starting learning to solo, because it's so simple. Now this is part of my Making the Changes series where we explore using arpeggios as the foundation for improvisation. So here's the question. Can you just take the chord shapes you already know for a tune and solo with them? After all, an arpeggio is just the notes of a chord played individually, right? Let's take a tune like Blue Bossa. What if we took our chord shapes and simply used them to solo? Before I play a basic solo with them, these are the shapes I'm using. 4-note voicings, largely drop 2. So either leave the chords ringing like this, use this shape to help guide you and just play them as single notes like that. It's obviously harder that second way, but both valid ways to use them. So does it work? Well, kind of. It's a bit disjointed, sure, but it does follow the changes. And it's interesting. Most jazz chord voicings aren't built in strict root 3rd, 5th and 7th order. It's quite hard on the guitar to do. C minor 7. Quite a tricky chord to play. For example, this C minor 7 voicing off the A string is actually 1, 5, 7, 3. That already gives us a different sound and contour. We also have the option, to let a chord ring or go through the individual notes separately, and I was mixing between those as I played that example. By the way, today's PDF is available on the supporter tier of my Patreon page, which also gives you access to PDFs from all my YouTube lessons and chord melodies, links in the description. Back to the chords. Let me show you how you can make this sound more musical. Jazz musicians often build lines around chord tones, but they don't just play the arpeggio straight. They might add chromatic tones below the chord tones, use diatonic notes above the chord tones from the key. Here's a C minor 7 arpeggio, so not the chord shape, just the arpeggio. That's just 1, 3, 5, 7. Play a fret beneath each of those notes, you get what's called a chromatic approach note. Play the diatonic note above from the key of C minor, because that's what we're in. We would have this. Note above then to the chord tone. Note above then to the 3rd. Note above to the 5th. Note above to the 7th. Nice to do to the root again. Put that together, C minor 7. Chromatics. Note above. Put that together, C minor 7. Chromatics, note above. Often people combine those elements. If I did it to each note, it would sound like this. And that's like the note above, then the chord tone, then the chromatic, then the chord tone, and do that subsequently to each note of the chord. Now we could add those to our chord shapes. We could add the chromatic. So if I took this C minor 7 shape, a couple examples I've written, just put a chromatic before it. So approach that C with a B and go. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2, and it could be done like that, or we could put a chromatic before the note on the top, which is the 3rd, and go, I've written like that, or before the 5th. And that's all utilising this shape that we've got, but I'm putting a chromatic note before the chord tone just to make it stand out, or make it a little bit more interesting. Same goes for the note above. We've got this up chord, our C minor 7, put a D, the next note in the key of C, before that first note. You can do it like that, or both ways of playing it. Before the 3rd on the top, let's put the note above in the scale, which will be an F. Like that. before the fifth it would be an A flat. We're maybe getting a little bit away from the shapes, but if you know the shapes well, you could manipulate them like this. So now, take those shapes and try embellishing them with a chromatic note before landing on the chord tone, or adding a diatonic note above. Suddenly, it starts to sound more like music, not just shapes. It might still be a little jumpy, but depending on where you are with your improvising, this could be a big step forward. There are a few limitations with this approach. You're restricted by your chord vocabulary. If you mainly use 3-note voicings, you might feel limited. I think drop 2 voicings work best here. 4-note shapes on consecutive strings let you move more fluidly. It's fairly common for us guitar players to mainly know chords off the E and the A string, which means you'll often leave out the high E. That's a missed opportunity. Those top notes really cut through. So it's helpful to also know chord shapes off the D string for full range. You'll also want to know inversions. These let you move more smoothly from one chord to another. There's C minor 7, so to jump to F minor 7, it's a big jump, right? So some of the stuff I've played today has been a bit disjointed because of that. Whereas the nearest F minor inversion, I would want to go to this, to that. So C minor 7 here to, this is an F minor 7 with the 7th in the bass. Could go to there also, but obviously this is about developing your chord knowledge, and inversions are a very important thing to do and learn. They just take time to get together. Another neat thing to do is to connect those chord shapes on the top string of the chords, like this. One thing that I would do is connect up some of these shapes with a scale on the top string. So I'm largely using chords with the B string as the highest voice note. So I could take this C minor 7 and then utilize the C natural minor scale to link up between chords. Here's the example I've written for you, and I've got C minor 7, just play the chord, then in the second bar go up the scale to walk up to the first note of the F minor, like that. 4, 1, 2. And I think that sounds really effective, and then that takes away the lumpiness, the jumpiness, if you like. If I kept going, walk down to the top note of the D minor 7 flat 5. Walk down to the note of the G7, sorry. Walk down or enclose here the 3rd. So just some ideas there where you could use the scale on like the top string or any other strings for that matter. I just thought that would keep it simple to connect between the shapes that you're using to create something which doesn't sound like chord then chord. It's like chord then a line that leads into the next chord shape that you're going to use. Other things I'd experiment with. Mess with the note order. That C minor 7 voicing is 1 5 7 3. Try reordering it. 1 3 5 7, 7 1 3 5, or just 3 5 1 7 for a hipper sound. So either keeping the chord shape down, letting it ring, you can go up, you can go down, or mix between, like skipping the strings, or you can do it like individually, like change the order, and so forth. Many options. Nothing to say you have to use all the notes in a chord. Also, just take 2 notes but be rhythmic. So if I pick 2 notes from each chord and just picked rhythm and stuck to it, it's going to get a bit samey, but it's just to illustrate. 1 2 3 4 1. F minor, D minor flat 5, G7, C minor. Maybe not the best solo, but just giving you an idea. Maybe you do that on 2 chords, not on a whole form. Try chord substitution. Swap the minor chords for their relative majors. Use the major 7. On dominants, try the tritone. That's going to only add tension and more interest. Like this. That's the C for the F minor. And what, D minor 7 flat 5. Then I play D flat 7 for the G. And then back to E flat. Major 7. G flat major 7 for the E flat. Where am I going with this? And then I need D7 for the A flat, sorry. And then I would use D flat major 7. D minor 7 flat 5, D flat 9, tritone. And then E flat major 7 for the C. So there's just some subs you could try there just to freshen things up. So, can you solo with chord shapes? Yes, but it's probably best used as one of many tools in your improvisational toolkit. It can definitely spark new ideas, take you to less familiar ways of playing maybe, help you outline changes more clearly, and serve as a solid backup plan when you hit a tough passage in a standard. If you'd like to learn more about using arpeggios to solo with and learning the key skills and how to develop your ability to do that in a structured way, I suggest you check out my first series of Making the Changes. I'll put the playlist on the screen. You could click on that now. Now, I'd love to know if you've tried this before. Do you think it's effective? Let me know in the comments. And don't forget to check out my Patreon, linked in the description for today's PDF and much more. Don't forget jazz guitar lessons here every Monday. Until next time, you take care.